New place, new floor, new project. This is some linen. This was actually a bed sheet once. And I'm going to make a Georgian petticoat out of this, a very simple one. I really like the simple things these days. Don't worry, it's going to pass. It's just a fad. So this used to be a bed sheet. I got it from Sylvia, whom you might remember from my Nacht der Museen video. She was modeling for me, and I don't remember where she got it from, but apparently some old lady was hoarding these really, really old bed sheets. They were still in the packaging, but they were kind of yellow. I don't think they make these anymore. It's very good linen, so it would be terrible to let it go to waste. I'm going to do something nice with it. So she gave it to me and I bleached it and cooked it, and then I used it as a summer blanket because it was really stiff and now it's a bit worn in and feels better this way. This is some linen thread. I never did anything with linen thread before, so this is going to be interesting. And this was in my sewing box even before I had a sewing box. It used to be my father's before me and he never used it. I have no idea how old it is, so I have no idea how old this linen thread is. And I'm going to use an adjusted pattern from this book, which I can only recommend. It's awesome, I love it. Seriously, if you can get it for under 20 bucks somewhere, just buy it instantaneously because it's awesome. It has all these details in it and sketches and close-ups, and I'm going to have to make me a quilted petticoat at some point, so I'm going to use this one as a reference. I'm not going to do any of this. It's just going to be a plain white petticoat, but I'm going to do the pleats like this, and the only thing I will actually have to buy is the binding and the ribbons here. And it's going to have 2 pocket slits at the sides. I don't know if that's going to be used by me later. I'm not one for the Georgian pockets, but I just like this design. It's very straightforward and simple. Enough with the talking. This is the full length of the fabric, and the practical thing about this is I'm going to fold it right here and I'm going to cut it there. So then I'm going to have 2 pieces that are exactly the same, and I'm going to use this here as the side seams. So imagine I wrap this part on top, cut it, and then sew here and here. I'm going to have one big tube, and I will not have to finish the edges because this is just where the loom ended, so it's already finished. Less sewing for me. Awesome. The sheet was a little bit uneven around the lower end. I had to cut off a little bit, but it's not going to matter all that much. I already cut it into pieces, and you can see I already put the needles in. This is the edge of the fabric where I don't have to finish the seam, and I'm going to make one seam up until here, and this is going to be left open for the pocket slits, and the same on the other side. So you can pretty much see one seam here, one seam here. These parts will be left open, and this is going to be put into folds and sewn together, and then I can hem the lower edge. This is pretty much the simplest thing that you can sew. So let's try out the linen thread and see how that works. Ooh, close up. So this is my progress so far. Told you I'd let you know how it works, and we zoomed in. Great. So I wanted to do a backstitch originally, but this material and this thread is way too stiff, so I'm going to do normal running stitches. Once there and then back again, and yeah. Don't know if this seam will be so awesome, but I'm determined to go through with it. Seams are nice and done. This took a lot longer than expected because the linen thread is very stiff and doesn't really work out that well. Backstitching is out of the question. Also the material is way too stiff for that. And you can see here, since I don't have to finish anything, I can just wrap this around and attach it with running stitches later. But first I'm going to press this open, and then I'm going to fold it in twice, like this. And I'm going to make one long hem for this. And then I won't have to do much else actually. Just put in the folds, find some ribbon to attach it to, do these, and then sew it together, and then I'm almost done. See, it's really, really simple. This is what the seam looks like. This is about my thumbnail wide. I think that's quite a good measurement. And sewing with this linen thread is really difficult. This took me way longer than it should have, because it's just normal running stitches, and the linen thread gets kind of stiff, so this might even add a little bit of volume. Not my neatest stitching either. If the thread is kind of unruly, that can really mess things up. And I'm currently doing the what would be called pocket slits, the opening at the side. So I was considering for a while, and it would have worked a lot quicker if I had just left simple running stitches here. And I thought it looked kind of cool and a bit, I don't know, rugged. It reminded me of the apron from Alice Madness Returns that has this kind of stitching. So, but I decided against it. I wanted to be neat and finished, and I still had some linen thread left. So what I did here was just, this is the opening. I just left it open, stitched it down, and I can just leave this as it is. I won't have to do anything else. And now I'm just stitching back and forth until the entire thing is done. I don't have much more to go. After I'm done with this, I'm just going to put the folds in, and then I need some ribbon, and then it's done. So this is a really quick thing. This is what the pleats look like now. I've started from a small box pleat in the middle and then pleated from there to the sides, and the ones around the side seam are deeper. I read that somewhere on the internet that this would give the sides more volume. I thought that might be an interesting look, because usually the hips are more defined whether you wear panniers or a bum roll or anything. So I thought, let's give this a try. I'm going to attach this with the little bit of linen thread that I have left, with one running stitch all along here. And then I'm going to cut off these bits, because linen isn't what it used to be. It starts fraying very easily, and this is really stiff, good stuff. And I'm going to use a normal blanket stitch and some white cotton in order to keep this from falling to pieces, basically. And this is the end result. I have to say, all in all, sewing with linen thread is very, very exhausting. You need strong fingers, and the results aren't as neat and as, I don't know, you don't feel that same sense of satisfaction that you have with a very soft cotton seam. Actually, I prefer silk for hand sewing anyway, because the thread is just gliding through the fabric easier. But I mean, linen is kind of authentic, even though the seams do get a little stiff. And this is the blanket stitch that I used for finishing this edge. Now all it needs is one linen or cotton ribbon, or maybe even silk. But all you can get is polyester these days, so I'll have to look for that separately. Might take a while. And then I'm going to wrap this around, and I'm going to use the stuff that's left over at the edges for tying the skirt, and then I'm pretty much finished. So this is a very quick one. This is the only non-polyester ribbon I could find. Technically this is bias binding. I don't think this is going to work. I'll probably have to exchange it, but for now I'll try it. It's the only thing that's 100% cotton. I'm just wrapping this around here until the end, and I'm going to use the bit left over to tie it at the side. And that's what that looks like. Running stitch once back and forth. And it's not the same color as the skirt, but I don't think that's very dramatic. And once I'm finished here, it's almost done. This is the final look of the whole thing. Works very well with the bias tape so far. You can kind of see the bustle pad. I decided to try it with the bustle pad this time. You can work without easily, but it looks a bit better with one. The only effect is because this is the same length in the front and in the back. If you wear the bustle pad or side hoops or whatever, the front hangs lower than the back. At least a little bit. You can't quite see it because of perspective. This should do it. So that's the only issue with this kind of skirt. You can wear it forwards and backwards, it doesn't really matter. You can adjust it to pretty much anyone. But as soon as you wear a bustle pad or side hoops, gets a bit warped. So this is more of an underskirt than an overskirt in case you want to wear anything underneath. And that is that. This was a really quick one. I hope you had fun. I did. See you in the next one. Bye.